All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to open our Economic Development Authority meeting here for Thursday, March 6, 2025. Would you please call the roll?
Beezer.
Here.
Grasula.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kirsch.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Sandy.
Here.
Yeager.
Yes. All right, our first item here is our item number 3. This is our annual, excuse me. Oh, sorry. This is our annual meeting. So item 3A will be the election of our chair, our vice chair, and our secretary. We've done this we've all done this before. We will go through, I will ask for nominations. If you would like to not be nominated, maybe mention that before everyone starts rattling off names who might be a good fit for these positions. So we will start with the election of the chair. Is there anyone who would not like to be nominated?
I would hate it.
Okay. Okay.
Same.
We got a few hands up here, so we've got apparently just a few possibilities here for the chair. So I will at this time ask for nominations of the chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
or interim chair, whatever you are right now. Last year, I think I motioned to keep everything the same. I think it's worked well. If anyone's against it, that's fine, but I would motion to keep the positions the same.
All 3 positions, Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Okay.
Remind me who is vice.
I think we might have to.
Does that require a second?
Does anyone remember who was the vice chair and the? Yeah, and if we do need a second.
I'd second.
All right, so we got a second on that.
I'd have to
James, can you refresh us who we are?
I didn't look previously. I believe it was maybe Tony was the vice chair.
That's what I was
and
thinking.
then Marie
And then-
was the secretary.
Okay.
That is correct.
Great.
So it must not have been that burdensome. So do we have anyone who would like to raise objection to keeping all 3 the same, or if either of the 3 of us would like to surrender those positions to open nominations, now would be the time. All right, hearing none. Is this a roll? We can do this by voice vote, yes? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good, thank you. So we have our chair, vice chair, and secretary established. We will go to our annual bylaws. They are included in the packet. James, anything you'd like to just touch on before bring this to us?
This is certainly time to review. If there's no issues, it just would need a voice vote for approval.
Anybody have any issues with the bylaws as presented? Yes, please, Gabe.
Well, I just have a question of staff. I think we amended the bylaws a few years ago to make from the community development director to the city administrator, the executive director of the EDA. Do we want to still have that be the city administrator, or do we want that to be the community development director? I mean, it's something we should consider.
Yeah, good question. Anybody have? Yeah, please.
I'd just like to ask staff, between our administrator and our community development director, what works best for you two?
And full disclosure, James and I haven't talked about this, so I don't want to speak for James. I think James is doing a great job. I think economic development, I think naturally lives under community development. So I would certainly be in favor. I know James is very passionate about this, does a great job. I would certainly support the community development director being the executive director. But James, if you want to speak on that, I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, certainly been working on it the past couple of years, more of a background in planning and zoning. It's become certainly a passion of mine, and would welcome that opportunity.
Awesome.
I would motion to make that change.
We have a motion to make a. Do we understand the everyone understands the change, right? Okay, good. So we understand the motion. Yeah, very good. We got a motion and a second to change our executive position to Mr. Kramvik. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Well, welcome aboard, James. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts on our bylaws, anyone? I had just one that I wanted to bring up. This is Article 3, Number 2. This has to do with our meeting schedule. We've had some variation and we've been kind of establishing our meeting schedule kind of as we want, kind of by year. So I'm wondering if the language, which I believe is listed as every 3 months or something like that in our meeting schedule, I'm wondering if the language shouldn't maybe be modified to be at the discretion of the authority at the onset of the year or something to that effect. I just want maybe ask staff, not necessarily any action today, but maybe just take a look at that. That was the only thing that stood out to me as we might want to look at, so.
You know what section this is?
Should be in Article number 3.
Keep going down, Sean.
Article 3, I believe it's Section 2.
Right there, yep.
So it says that first Thursday of every third month.
That sounds like too many meetings.
And it also, is everyone okay with the Thursday 7:30? I think this has come up before, but it works good for me, so.
As long as Tony can make it, I can make it.
So maybe, I'm just asking, maybe take a look at this wording and see if we can come back to something maybe next meeting that might clean this up just a little bit.
Certainly.
Not asking anyone to craft it right now. Okay, anything else?
I'd move approval of the bylaws.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bylaws? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good, our bylaws are in place. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. This is item number 4. Do we have any additions, substitutions, or modifications to the agenda as presented?
For the visit Brainerd, it was more of a question I had. Can I state it, or do you want to pull it out? There's no action at this time that needs to be
She's
taken.
got to drop the kids off at school.
Awesome.
She'll be here later.
Oh, okay, no problem. So I'll tell you what, we'll just leave it as is, and then when we go to the consent calendar, we'll bring it up in our next item, and we can ask the question, if that's all right. Yep. Anything else on the agenda?
I'd move to approve the agenda.
Got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. We're off to our consent calendar, so I will now turn the floor over to you just for your inquiry, please.
So for the visit Brainerd, and I know Mary will not have the data today, but I was wondering if we could get some information on the traffic of the website. So.
Awesome. And Gabe, you said she might be here to be able to speak about this?
After she drops the boys off at school, she might be here. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's all right with everyone here, if she jumps in, we might ask her that question. She can jump in where we're at in the agenda. Anything else on the consent calendar? All right, hearing none, we will vote by roll call, please.
I'll make a motion
sorry.
to approve the consent calendar.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second.
With a
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Beazer,
Yes.
Grasula,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kirsch,
Yes.
O'Day,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Yeager.
Yes. Okay, we have our consent calendar. We have nothing under unfinished business, so we'll jump to number 7. This is our new business, and first is a review of the 2024 EDA measurables and statistics. Please, Mr. Kramvik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So staff included activities and measurables in the 2024 report. Staff will be working with Bladec this year to obtain numbers on childcare slots in Brainerd, hopefully also kind of those waiting list numbers so we can track those year after year. A few highlights from the past year: the EDA website became fully operational, very easy to search in Google. The EDA contracted with Camp Realty to install for sale signs in the industrial park as part of the brokerage contract. The EDA recommended approval of a marketing strategy to market city-owned industrial property at $1 per acre if key objectives and goals are met. This was approved by City Council. EDA recommended an extension of the River to Rails District to include all of Washington Street, Highway 210, and South 6th Street to Buffalo Hills Lane East. This was also approved by City Council in the creation of the Central Business District Incentive Policy. The EDA facade grant funded 5 facade improvement projects with $20,534 in EDA funds. 4 projects so far have been completed. The other one, I believe, will be this spring. SHC created 3 concept plans for Trailside Park for low, medium, and high density. The EDA considered and recommended tax abatement for Country Manor. City Council took EDA's recommendation for a blended tax abatement structure at 100% for the first 3 years of the operation. And then lastly, the EDA and staff toured Just for Crypto, the Office Shop, Lakes Printing, Giovanni's Pizza, and Anderson Brothers as part of some of our tours and business retention meetings. So with that, I'll turn it over if there's any questions from the EDA board.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. Any questions for James?
I just had a comment. Yeah, I think this is great to have this all summarized, and it's pretty impressive, the work that's been done the past year. Thank you for putting the measurables in there. I think that's going to be really helpful. And my only comment is just moving forward, it'd be nice to have like past data now that we have this kind of baseline to like for next year, just comparing year over year, just so we can see the progress we're making, to just give context to where we are and where we're going. But yeah, appreciate the report, the thoroughness of the report. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else? Yeah, I'll just mention also, I like having this report because I get asked a lot, what do you guys do? So this is a really easy summary to just be like, hey, this is exactly what we do here. So is there any action needed on this, Mr. Kramvik?
No action needed.
Very good. Anybody else? Any questions, follow-up, anything else? All right, we're clipping along here. Item 7B, this will be the review of the preliminary framework for 2024. Again, Mr. Kramvik.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the EDA approved scope of service contracts with 4 consultants, Bladek, DDBC, Swanson Hascamp Consulting, and Visit Brainerd, to help the EDA accomplish the goals and action steps for 2025 through 2026. So staff have constructed a preliminary framework document to help consultants meet their objectives for 2025. This is a preliminary document that will be further discussed at the first quarter consultants meeting. That happens right after this meeting. So there might be a few things that shift around, but wanted to provide a general overview to the EDA. And then subsequent meetings from here, we'll be able to track to see where we're at on some of these action items.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. Any questions for James? Yeah, please, Gabe.
Well, I just had a constituent reach out to me wondering if the Economic Development Authority knew what year it was. Because under 7B, it says preliminary framework for 2024. It's for 2020.
It is for 2020.
We do know what year it is. We're moving forward. That's all I have.
Oh, very good. Anybody, any other comments? Yeah, this kind of plays into just something I wanted to bring up. Something that came out in the city council meeting just recently was the desire for the city council to adopt a system that kind of tracks open items. And this conversation kind of basically plays into that. So I was going to ask you guys if you felt like that's something that we could have the EDA kind of take a look at also. Now, we have a framework that's pretty close with tracking these items here, but my thinking is that James and I did speak about this just a little bit, that it would be easy for us to also begin to adopt a system similar to what the city council is hoping to adopt in their meetings, where we would take every single item, whether it be open, dormant, or whatever, and just have basically a running list of where we are so that we could all keep up to date. Things that have been brought to our attention kind of through the last year would be items like the 210 reconstruction, where we're at with that. So as opposed to us having to track all of these and keep track of all this stuff that we're supposed to be working on, there's a lot, we would just keep a running list, and it would be a document that we could go to every single meeting and just say, where are we at with these things? And it would also incentivize staff to not that they're not doing these things, but it would be right in front of them, and they would know this is coming up on these meetings, and be able to take action, or at least have a report prepared for every single meeting. So if you guys are open to that, I don't know that we necessarily need a motion for that, but maybe you think we do. But James, what are your thoughts?
Yep, nope, we discussed this, and I think this would be a good path forward for the EDA.
Awesome.
I just had a.
Yeah, please.
So is this the framework currently just like an Excel sheet or something that you're inputting stuff into?
So right now, the framework, I use a Word document. Tracking may use an Excel file.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to give you a read on that. I was more just wondering, like, if the city council is moving forward with some sort of plan for tracking these things, is there like software available to facilitate making it easier to keep track of the things, or I just don't know what plans.
Our primary software that we work in is BSNA, and that one wouldn't have any type of tracking in there.
It'll be Excel, right? We would think? Yeah, I would think. Yeah. And this just came out in the last meeting, so staff really hasn't even had a chance to really absorb the request of the city council yet. But I would think Excel or something like that.
Is it like public facing then? Like.
Oh, I don't know yet. I was thinking that this would be a document, or at least I think the driver for the city council is that there would be at least be a document that would be in every single packet that comes out that says, these are all of our open items. This is where we're at with each one of them. And then when they're completed, they get kicked off the list. I think that's the basic mindset. Yeah, please, Gabe.
Yeah, I think so. It would be perfect in Excel, James, where there's the item is column A, where you're at is B, C, D, E, F, whatever, and then it's part of, I think it's public facing. I think it's part of every agenda, right, or consent calendar, right? It's just in there so the public can see what we're working on and where we're at on it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I see also. The Swanson Hascat map model that's in here, I think is pretty close. I mean, you guys do a great job of kind of listing out the items, kind of where you're at within the task and kind of where you're at there. So it's somewhat similar to that, but I agree. I think it's a Excel spreadsheet just, and it's in every single meeting. So if you guys are okay with that, do you need any other further direction on that, kind of where we're going?
Nope, that makes sense.
All right, fantastic. Okay, anything else? All right, no action needed for our 2025 framework. All right, and we're good on our 2024 framework, so we're good. We're good. All right, item C, this is the discussion of the agenda for the April EDA workshop, Mr. Kramvik.
Yeah, so this will be the first meeting, or will this be the first Thursday in April, 7:30, kind of same time that we'd traditionally have an EDA meeting. Staff recommends that this meeting not exceed 90 minutes, and I have proposed a few of the following items to discuss. First one would be Washington Street reconstruction. What role should the EDA have during the reconstruction project? Next one, improved signage in downtown and along Washington Street. Heard this from a few people that there's concerns, especially with some vinyl signage. So should zoning ordinances be strengthened to improve sign aesthetics, and then discuss possible matching grants for new or improved signage. Commercial child care centers, review and discuss results of the child care tours. So far we've done 2 of them. We have 2 EDA board members that had volunteered with Gersula and Sandy, and then hopefully completing the last ones in the next couple of weeks, so having a report to discuss kind of their strengths, weaknesses, where the difficulties are. So then discuss possible ordinance changes for commercial child care centers recommended to the Planning Commission, discuss fees, policies, and potential grants. Last one, again, discuss facade improvement grant. We'll be able to show kind of before and after pictures from last year. Is there any tweaks that need to be done? Should we do this again this next year? So kind of discussing that facade improvement grant for 2025. Something certainly could be added. What I'd like to see the EDA do is kind of order these in order of importance, and I think, my recommendation is to do 90 minutes, and we just go from top to bottom, and wherever we end off is where we end off.
Yep, thank you, James. Yeah, so Mr. Kramvik and I kind of spoke about this. We put an initial order of urgency on each one of these, or kind of a ranking of what we thought was first, but I certainly want you guys to have a look at this and then also weigh in if we're missing anything. And again, as James mentioned, we would just go 90 minutes. We get as far as we got. As far as we go, and if we don't get to something, it gets kicked off to the next one, so or a subsequent meeting. So yeah, please.
Yeah, perhaps, Mr. Chair, you could speak on it, or maybe Eric, but I think the HRA is working on a small cities grant along the Washington Street corridor, and maybe that could be part of this conversation, or maybe we throw that in there somewhere.
Yeah, Mr. Charpentier, would you like to weigh in, please?
Yeah, we are working on a grant for kind of lighting, and not doing any housing component to this grant cycle because we were urged actually at the behest of DEED to not do that, since we've got an open housing grant in Southeast Brainerd right now. We do plan to also put in a preliminary application for housing for this next cycle, so we would likely still line up with the project. We'd be happy to continue to update the EDA as we need to.
So, Gabe, are you thinking we want to add this into this language somewhere, into one of these items, or just?
I think we want it somewhere, or we want an update. Just keep an eye on what's going on the Washington Street corridor.
Sure. So for sure, I mean, this almost plays into every single one of these, maybe except for, well, maybe all of them. So we'll just, if you could, James, just keep the HRA element added as one of these sub items into each one of these as a part of the conversation. So, and Mr. Charpentier's at every meeting, so for the most part, so that'd be easy to do. Any other thoughts on anything that should be added or changed, or?
I just wanted to note, I've met with Matt Killian and I was Allison Medic at the last meeting, but Bladeck's been in conversation, just kind of brainstorming what a mitigation plan would look like for the Washington Street reconstruction. And so we've just been trying to pull together a plan with some kind of plugging in some budget numbers to just give us an idea. So I'm hoping that can be discussed as that part of item 1 at that meeting.
Yes, that'd be part of item 1.
Awesome. Okay. So looks like we can add that into, I believe we have a meeting today also on 210, if I remember right, as an open house meeting as well. So. You know, there's one this morning and then there's one this afternoon. I believe at 3:30, is that right? Okay, so, and I was gonna ask, now's as good a time as anyone here planning on going to the 3:30, just so we don't have any quorum issues?
I'm going.
I may.
Okay,
I may go.
okay, I was gonna go also, so,
I'll skip it then.
Gabe's out. How many can we have? 3? We could have 3 there? We could have 3 there, so.
I won't go then.
Okay.
I know enough about
It
it
is
already.
noticed on the bulletin board that a quorum may be present.
Okay, fantastic. There you go. So we're all,
Well, maybe
you're
I'll
back
go
in, Gabe. Very good. Mr. Kramvik.
You guys could also adjourn to the meeting.
Yeah, we certainly could, just to double up there. All right. Looks like staff is looking for a recommendation for us to approve this. We have just a couple additions that were added. Do you feel like you have a grasp of those, Mr. Kramvik?
I do.
Very good.
Motion
We have a motion to approve. Yes?
Is that to approve?
to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, got it. We got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. And we will bring us to item A. This is our staff reports. I'm going to start with Mr. Broyles. Anything?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yep.
Former executive director.
Yep. Connie Hillman, please. And our new executive director, drum roll, I was going to do you last, but we're just going to keep going here. Mr. Kramvik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I already mentioned we did a couple tours of childcare facilities. I'm going to be looking at setting up our first quarter visit for the entire EDA here, so kind of stay tuned for that. And then wanted to let the EDA board know that Block Metrics has submitted building plans for TC Industrial Drive. So that's work in progress at this time.
Very good. Thank you. Jennifer, have anything?
Oh, I thought it was already green, sorry. So the only thing I would add, there was a question about website activity, and while I cannot report on the EDA's website, I can tell you that we also are hosting all of the property listings. And there were a couple of things related to camp that were in the news, and we saw a pretty significant spike actually in looking at all of the listings for Brainerd as a result of some of that publicity. So on our website, which originally had very little activity, I think between the sign and some of those media pieces, there's been quite a bit of interest. So just kind of to give you a sense of, we are seeing quite a bit of activity that wasn't there before.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Tyler?
Maria just mentioned the meeting that they had with Maria and Matt and Allison. I was gone last week, so they just started some framework and having some discussions around how this should all lay out. So we'll keep moving forward on that. And Matt and I will meet probably early next week or the week after. Next week is spring break, so I don't know if he's around. But so we'll start talking about this a little bit more in detail, and hopefully we can bring something to the April meeting. I contacted James with regards to the group that's looking out at the industrial park at the VC, whatever their name was, at their property. Our state representative contacted me. Just apparently they've been kicking around at the state level as well. So the state wanted to know if they were being dealt with here locally, and I informed them that they are. But there's also, if they happen to turn this into a data center, there's some funding that could potentially be available. But they just wanted us to be aware of that. And just one last, on a staffing side, Haley Majerus, who is our admin and marketing staff person, has accepted a new job, and today is her last day. So we'll be maybe looking for somebody new. We're going to just kind of take a step back and see exactly what we need, but just as an FYI for staff.
Very good. Thank you. Yep. Sean?
From IT.
Tony?
Just technology.
Just.
I'm new to this whole thing.
Mr. Charpentier, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the EDA. Just a couple updates as we get into the new year, seeing as it's the first meeting that we've been together. Flurry of activity from Minnesota Housing in getting a bunch of their grant dollars from the 2023 legislative session finally out and rolling. That includes the state voucher program, which is called Bring It Home. That RFP has finally been released, and that will bring potentially anywhere from 35 to 45 vouchers to the community, to Crow Wing County, and for the HRA here to administer, if we do so choose to move forward with that RFP and accepting that. We'll be bringing that to our board here likely in March. We've been talking about it for at least 2+ years. It's exciting to have more voucher opportunities and more funding for that, but we also need to keep an eye on capacity for our staffing as well. But happy to see that the state's moving forward with these big initiatives. They've also got Housing Trust Fund, Local Housing Trust Fund grant application out. That is part of the Crow Wing County HRA, but we are going to be trying to get some up to $225,000 of state funding into our Local Housing Trust Fund, and that does affect certainly rehab in Brainerd, development in Brainerd. So we're hopeful that we can qualify for that. We also have an eye towards an infrastructure grant that we'll be hopefully teaming up with the city of Brainerd. I'll be bringing that to the city council as soon as that gets released. Hopefully sometime in March is what they're looking for. We're looking for that to specifically help support Outlot F and Outlot E in Brainerd Oaks, a project that we're working on that we have the developer now ready and has accepted some additional funding to get infrastructure put in to get to Outlot F to build upwards of 18 more housing units there. It's the same developer that built out Brainerd Oaks, so it'll be a similar build type. Will be twin homes versus single family homes though. So very, very hopeful we can get some state money into the Brainerd community here, and working hard to do that. Have not forgot about 805 Laurel, neither has the developer. Obviously, we're in a bit of a standstill. There was a flurry of activity at the end of the year, which we did see visually. The developer is still very committed to that project. They've got a lot of money invested in that property. We are currently trying to get some headway in the state housing tax credit avenue or realm to see if we can get some support for that project to move forward sooner rather than later. And I think we'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charpentier. Is there any questions for any of our staff? Yeah, please, Gabe.
Yeah, I have one for Eric, and sorry I'm not on HRA anymore, so I suppose I still could attend the meetings. They're public meetings, right?
They are.
But the bringing it home grant with the extra 30 to 40 vouchers in the community, are there any concerns for long-term funding of the program?
So it's built into base, and so if it's built into base, what we're always told is that it's really difficult to pull out of base. It's always an ongoing question. There are future legislative bodies that could make those changes. It is built in. What I don't see right now in that program is anything built in for inflationary factors. That's my concern currently, is if we've got a set amount of dollars and over time our housing assistance payments are going to go up, rents are going to go up, it will somewhat naturally erode that. So I know the legislative body is working on that. Haven't seen headway in that yet in this session, but that is a concern in the fact that our purchasing power, our assistance would dwindle over time, which would lead to less households.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Any other questions for staff? Okay, we will move on to our commission member reports. Please, Member Beezer.
I have none.
Anything? Mr. Grusula?
I'd just like to say that we started those childcare tours, and thank you, James, for setting those up.
Awesome. Member Johnson?
I attended the Downtown Business Owner Social this past week, as did you, Mr. Chair, and it was great, and it is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went to the early ones, and there were 4, 5, 6 of us there. Now there's a room full of people wanting to talk to each other about how their businesses are doing downtown, and it's fantastic to see. So good on the DDBC for putting those together.
And the food was excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Member Kirsch?
Yeah, just to add on to that, we've had 2 socials so far this year. We've moved to a monthly model for that, and I think that's really helped just people can keep in mind when they're happening so that they show up. And yeah, I'd say it's been great to see the turnout and just a lot of positive vibes happening with just getting everybody in a room and being able to share what's going on with our businesses so we can help support each other. Just putting a plug in for the St. Patrick's Day Parade happening downtown on the 15th, and then DDBC is also helping organize a shopping promotion the week. It's going to be the 10th through the 17th, just a stamp card promotion program to help get people shopping downtown. So that's what we got coming up in March. And James, if I can just put a plug in for if we can please get the banners swapped out downtown so we don't have holiday banners up for St. Patrick's Day, that would be much appreciated. That's all I got.
Do we need a ladder truck for this from
Oh,
BPU?
gosh.
Come on, what do we need?
I'll let Public Works know.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Mr. O'Day.
Yeah, this coming Monday, we have a council retreat, off-site meeting scheduled for about 6 to 8 hours. It'll be fun.
I was told there'd be refreshments. Is this true?
Somebody mentioned breakfast sandwiches, I think.
All right, okay.
But we have to pay for them.
Connie.
But my hope for, the council voted. My hope for part of that is, we're gonna touch on goals for the next couple of years for the council, both internal, external. I think we'll definitely touch on some economic development. So hopefully something of that comes back to this body as a recommendation or some questions or things that we can touch on at our next meeting. So, yeah, just look forward to that.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Sandy.
I don't have anything further to add. I guess there's a benefit to being last in the alphabetical order.
Absolutely, that's why I did it. You guys basically touched on every single thing I was going to touch upon, so I'm very proud of the work we do. I'm very proud of the team that we have. Staff's excellent. You guys have been awesome, and look forward to serving with you guys another year. It's going to be fantastic. And with that, we will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We've got a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. We're done. Thank you.